Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a surprising coin that's been catching the attention of collectors and investors all across the country. We're talking about the 1978 Jefferson nickel. Yes, you heard that right, a coin that's often overlooked and easily passed over in your spare change. But what if I told you that some of these nickels are worth not just a few bucks or a few hundred but potentially tens of thousands, and in extremely rare cases even up to $1 million? Sounds unbelievable, right? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about the basics. The 1978 Jefferson nickel with the D Mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint. Over 300 million of these coins were produced. So naturally you might be asking, how can a coin with such a high mintage possibly be valuable? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Not all nickels are created equal. While most 1978 nickels are only worth face value, there are a handful of coins that have unique features, rare errors, or flawless condition that make them extremely desirable to collectors. And when demand meets rarity, that's when prices go through the roof. Let's take a closer look at the factors that can make a 1978 nickel worth serious money. Number 1. Condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale to assess the condition of a coin, with MS meaning mint state followed by a number from 60 to 70. An MS 60 coin is uncirculated but has many marks, while an MS 70 coin is basically perfect under magnification. Now here's the kicker. A 1978 Jefferson nickel graded MS 67 or higher is considered rare. There are only a few known examples in this condition, and they can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, one example graded MS 67 full steps sold for nearly $4,000. And it didn't stop there. The price keeps rising as more collectors seek out top-grade coins. Now, what are full steps? This refers to the steps on Monticello, the building shown on the reverse side of the nickel. If you look closely, you'll see that the quality of strike affects how well those steps show. A full steps nickel means all 5 or 6 steps are sharply struck and fully visible. These are rare, especially in high mint state grades, and they bring premium value. If you have a 1978 nickel with sharp full steps and know where you might be holding a small fortune. Next, let's talk about errors. This is where things get really exciting. Errors are mistakes made during the minting process, and they can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Look out for off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and clipped planchets. Some of these error nickels have sold for thousands of dollars. A double die obverse, meaning the front side of the coin was struck twice slightly off, can create a doubled image, especially around the lettering or Jefferson's eye and nose. These types of errors are very rare and extremely collectible. Then there's the legendary $1 million question. Could a 1978 Jefferson nickel really be worth $1 million? Technically, yes. If a coin exists that combines multiple rare features, for example, it's in pristine condition, say MS 70 has full steps, has a major mint error, and there's only one like it known in the world, then yes, the market could assign it a price approaching 7 figures. This would be especially true if the coin were featured in a high-profile auction with intense collector interest. It would be the holy grail of Jefferson nickels, and there are collectors out there with deep enough pockets to pay for it. But here's the important takeaway. Even if you don't have the $1 million unicorn, you could still have a coin worth hundreds or thousands, and it might be sitting unnoticed in a jar of spare change. So what should you do? Here's what I recommend. Grab a magnifying glass and start checking your nickels, especially those with a 1978 date and a small D under the Monticello building. Look for strong steps on the reverse side, look for any doubling or strange features, and if you find something that looks promising, get it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Grading can confirm the coin's authenticity and help you sell it for top dollar, and remember, condition is everything. Even the tiniest scratch or wear mark can reduce a coin's value. So when you find nickels in great shape, store them safely in holders and keep them away from moisture and friction. Before we wrap up, let's review the top reasons a 1978 nickel might be valuable. 1. High mint state grade, especially MS 67 or higher. 2. Full steps designation. 3. Rare mint errors like double dies or off-center strikes for extremely low population or unique specimens. 5. Strong collector demand and certified grading. If your coin checks even one of these boxes, it might be time to call an expert. 1984 Jefferson nickel astronomically valuable. One of them is condition. A nickel that's been in circulation is going to have wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, fading. But a nickel that has been preserved in what collectors call mint state condition, especially MS-67 or higher, can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Then there are the errors. Errors are what make coin collectors go wild. Some of the most valuable 1984 D. Jefferson nickels are those with striking or planchet errors. A double die reverse, for instance, could show doubling in the Monticello lettering, especially around the word Monticello or the motto E pluribus unum. Even stronger examples show dramatic doubling that's easy to spot with the naked eye. These coins are incredibly rare and highly prized. Another rare variation includes off-center strikes where the image is not properly aligned on the coin. Depending on how off-center it is, and how visible the date and mint mark remain, these coins can fetch thousands of dollars. One example sold at auction for over $10,000 simply because of a dramatic off-center strike that still preserved the critical identifying details. Then there's the possibility of a full steps designation. Full steps refer to the steps on Monticello being sharply defined and completely struck. On most coins, especially those from high-volume mint years like 1984, the steps are often weak or incomplete. But when a 1984 D nickel is found with full steps, in mint state, the value skyrockets. Only a handful of these coins are known to exist in perfect MS-67 or MS-68 full steps condition. Now you might be wondering, could a 1984 D. Jefferson nickel really be worth $1 million? While that might sound like a stretch for most coins, here's the catch. Coin values are determined by rarity, demand, and the uniqueness of a specific specimen. If a 1984 D nickel were to be discovered with an extreme double die error, full steps, in pristine MS-68 or even MS-69 condition, and with provenance, it could theoretically become one of the most valuable Jefferson nickels ever known. In fact, collectors have paid six figures for similar rare error coins from other years. And if you add a unique combination, a one-of-a-kind minting flaw or double denomination strike, it's not impossible for a single nickel to cross that $1 million threshold at auction. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1984 D. Jefferson nickel? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can instantly reduce its value. Instead, use a magnifying glass and examine it closely. Look at Monticello. Look for strong steps, doubling, or unusual features. If it looks promising, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade is essential when it comes to getting top dollar for rare coins. Check your coin rolls. Look through your pocket change. Go through old jars of coins passed down from grandparents. Because you never know, the next $1 million coin might be sitting unnoticed in your home right now. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin content, and drop a comment telling us what rare coins you've found. We post regularly about valuable coins still in circulation and how to spot hidden treasures. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting. To the channel, coin collectors and curious minds. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins still circulating in the United States. This is the story of the 1984 Jefferson nickel with the Denver Mint mark, and why you should be checking your pocket change. Believe it or not, this everyday coin might just be worth a fortune. Now, when we talk about the Jefferson nickel, most people think of a simple 5-cent coin, commonly found in pockets, purses, or maybe even lying at the bottom of your car's cup holder. But there's something special about the 1984 D. Jefferson nickel that sets it apart. Something that could make a single 5-cent coin worth thousands, even up to $1 million in the right condition. First, let's set the stage. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It featured the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, and Monticello, his Virginia estate, on the reverse. Over time, many varieties, errors, and rare mintings have made certain Jefferson nickels highly collectible. The 1984 D nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark to the right of Jefferson's bust. In a typical year, the Denver Mint produces millions of these coins. In 1984, over 546 million Jefferson nickels were minted in Denver alone. So at first glance, nothing seems rare about it. But here's the twist: it's not just about how many were made. It's about how few were made with a mistake or a feature that sets them apart. 1985 P. Jefferson nickel featuring the classic Monticello design on the reverse and Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. This coin was minted in Philadelphia, which is what the P mint mark stands for. But what's making people take a second look at this seemingly common nickel? Is it really worth thousands, or even $1 million? Let's find out now. First off, the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel is not a low mintage coin. Over 500 million of these nickels were produced, so most of them are very common and still in circulation. That means your average worn 1985 P nickel is going to be worth just 5 cents, maybe a little more if it's in better condition. But here's where it gets interesting. There are a few rare varieties and extremely high-grade examples of this coin that collectors will pay a serious premium for. In particular, full steps nickels from this year can command impressive prices. Full steps refers to the detail on the steps of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. If you can count 5 or 6 complete steps with no interruptions, that's what collectors are after. These coins are harder to find because the steps wear down easily or weren't fully struck in the first place. Now, according to recent auction records, a 1985 P. Jefferson nickel with full steps graded MS67 by PCGS sold for over $4,000. That's right, $4,000 for a 5-cent coin. That's not even the best part. If you somehow have one in MS68 or higher with full steps, we're talking about incredibly rare territory. That's the kind of condition that can push a coin's value toward 5 figures or more. But what about the $1 million claim? Is there really a 1985 P nickel worth that much? In short, not yet. There is no confirmed sale of a 1985 P Jefferson nickel reaching $1 million. But here's what's important: if a unique era coin is discovered, such as an off-metal strike, a dramatic double die, or an extraordinary mint mistake, it could attract huge offers from high-end collectors and institutions. For example, some rare coins in U.S. history like the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty nickel have sold for over $1 million because they were unique and historically significant. So while the typical 1985 P nickel won't make you rich, the right combination of condition, rarity, and error could absolutely set records. So what should you look for when checking your 1985 nickels? First, look at the overall condition. The fewer nicks, scratches, and dings, the better. Next, flip it over and take a close look at the steps on Monticello. If they're sharp and fully defined, especially under magnification, you could be holding a valuable full steps example. Also, be on the lookout for any unusual errors. Maybe your coin has a double image, or a missing layer, or was struck on the wrong planchet. These types of rare mint errors are what can take a regular coin into the realm of serious money. To get a professional opinion, you can submit your coin to grading companies like PCGS or NGCA. Certified grade will not only verify its condition but also increase its market value dramatically. And one last tip: always handle your coins carefully. Use gloves if you can and store them in proper holders to prevent damage. Even small scratches can lower the value by hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So, is the 1985 P Jefferson nickel worth $1 million today? Probably not, but does it have the potential to be worth thousands if it's in pristine condition or has a rare error? Absolutely. Keep checking your change, because the next Bitcoin discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. 1987 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark, a coin that's part of nearly every American's spare change. But could one be worth $1 million? Now I know what you're thinking. A nickel from 1987? Really? It's not that old. It's not silver. So how could it be worth anything more than 5 cents? Well, the answer lies in a little-known truth about modern coinage. It's not always about age or metal content. Sometimes, it's about rarity, errors, and the condition of the coin. Let's break it down. The 1987 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In that year alone, over 372 million of these coins were made. That's right, over 372 million. So yes, most of them are still only worth face value. But hidden among those millions are a few incredibly rare and valuable examples. Let's talk first about coin condition. If you have a 1987 P Jefferson nickel in uncirculated condition, meaning it looks like it just came from the mint with no scratches, dings, or wear, it can be worth much more than 5 cents. Collectors look for what's called a full steps nickel. That refers to the number of clear steps visible at the base of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. A perfect coin with full steps and no marks can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. For example, one stunning 1987 P nickel graded MS67 with full steps sold for over $2,000. That's $2,000 for a coin you might overlook in your change jar. But here's where it gets crazy. There are rumors and reports in the coin collecting world about ultra-rare mint-era nickels from 1987. We're talking about dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are the coins that can push the value from thousands into the tens of thousands, and in extreme cases, yes, even into the $1 million range. Let me give you an example. A Jefferson nickel struck on a 1-cent planchet. Basically, a nickel struck using a copper penny blank, sold for $10,000. Now imagine a 1987 P nickel with that kind of mint error, plus top-grade condition, and full steps. That's where you start hearing those six-figure and $1 million conversations. Even crazier, there's talk of a unique 1987 P Jefferson nickel that was accidentally struck using a foreign planchet, making it lighter than normal with an odd color and metallic sound. Rumors say a private collector paid an undisclosed six-figure sum to own it. No one knows if that coin will hit the open market, but if it does, we're talking about a potential record-breaker. So how do you know if you have one of these rare nickels? First, look at the condition. If it looks brand new, shiny, and has crisp details, it's worth checking. Next, flip it over and inspect the steps on Monticello. Count them. Are they clear and sharp? That's a good sign. Then check for odd features. Is the coin unusually light? Does the strike look off-center? Are there double images, especially on the letters or date? If your coin has any of these signs, do not spend it. Instead, send it to a coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. Getting your coin graded is the first step to discovering its true value. And who knows? That nickel you picked up at the gas station or found in your drawer could end up being worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions. So before you toss your change aside, take a second look. There's a hidden world of value right under our noses, and the 1987 P Jefferson nickel is living proof. 1992 P Jefferson nickel. You might be thinking, it's just a modern nickel from the 90s, how valuable could it really be? Well, hold on to your seats, because this ordinary-looking coin has shocked collectors with its hidden value. In some cases, it's even been linked to the $1 million conversation. That's right, a 5-cent coin from 1992, minted in Philadelphia, with a simple P mint mark above Monticello, could be worth thousands, and in extremely rare conditions, even more. Some collectors and investors have speculated on the long-term potential of this coin reaching 7 figures. So what makes the 1992 P Jefferson nickel so special? Let's break it down. First, let's understand what we're dealing with. The 1992 P nickel was part of the standard circulation coins struck by the United States Mint. It features the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag, and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. At first glance, nothing unusual, right? But here's the thing. Not all 1992 P nickels are created equal. The key to unlocking the value of this coin lies in a few important factors: condition, strike quality, die varieties, and collector demand. Let's start with condition. If you've ever heard of the Sheldon scale, you know that coins are graded from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS67 or higher, that's mint state 67, is considered an absolute gem. For the 1992 P Jefferson nickel, high-grade examples are exceptionally hard to come by. Most coins from this year were poorly struck, with soft details on Jefferson's hair and Monticello's columns. Finding one with a sharp strike, brilliant luster, and no noticeable wear is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In recent years, collectors have gone wild over what are called full steps varieties. These are nickels that show all 5 or 6 steps at the base of Monticello with no breaks. This detail might sound small, but it makes a massive difference in value. A 1992 P nickel with full steps and a grade of MS66 or MS67 can command serious money. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, depending on the eye appeal and population. But the real jackpot comes from the possibility of rare die varieties and errors. Imagine a 1992 P nickel with a dramatic double die, off-center strike, or even a transitional error. These coins can reach staggering prices at auction. In one case, a known 1992 P nickel in top condition with full steps and exceptional luster sold for over $10,000. And the market is only heating up. As more collectors begin to pay attention to modern coinage, the demand for coins like this keeps rising. So where does the $1 million claim come in? While no 1992 P nickel has officially sold for $1 million yet, the speculation is rooted in rarity and future demand. Think about the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty nickel, both coins that were once overlooked and later reached legendary status in the numismatic world. The right 1992 P nickel, with a perfect strike, rare error, and top-tier grade, could one day break records. Especially if discovered in a sealed bankroll or old mint set that's been tucked away for decades. And here's a fun fact: many of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found not by professional collectors, but by everyday people. That's right, someone just like you, maybe searching through change, a coin jar, or an inherited collection. The 1992 P Jefferson nickel might be sitting in your home right now, just waiting to be discovered. So what should you look for? When checking your nickels, pull aside any 1992 P coins. Examine the steps on Monticello using a magnifier. Look for clear, full lines. Check the fields for luster and contact marks. And most importantly, consider having your best examples professionally graded. Coins in high mint state condition, especially with full steps, can skyrocket in value once they're slabbed and certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. If you happen to find a rare die variety, error, or an ultra-high grade, congratulations, you may have just hit the jackpot. Even if your coin isn't worth $1 million today, it could become an important investment piece as interest in modern coinage continues to rise. The 1992 P Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how even the most ordinary-looking coins can hide extraordinary value. So next time you go through your spare change or search old rolls of nickels, don't overlook the 1992 P. It might just be the sleeper hit of the Jefferson series. And who knows, maybe the next $1 million nickel is sitting right there in your hand. 1995 D Mint Mark Jefferson nickel featuring the iconic Monticello reverse. This seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece could actually be worth thousands, even up to $1 million, under the right circumstances. You heard that right. A nickel worth $1 million. So let's talk about what makes this coin so special, how to identify a rare one, and what kind of values these coins are fetching on the market today. First, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1995 Jefferson nickel was minted in large numbers at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint coins bear the D Mint mark on the obverse, right next to Thomas Jefferson's portrait. In general, the 1995 D nickel is considered common with over 400 million pieces struck. But as with many coins, what makes it valuable is not the year or the mint mark alone, but the rare varieties and errors that can occur during the minting process. Now here's where things get exciting. Some 1995 D Jefferson nickels have been found with incredible mint errors and rare die varieties that dramatically increase their value. These include off-center strikes, double dies, full steps on the Monticello building, and misaligned dies. But perhaps the most important designation when it comes to modern Jefferson nickels is what collectors call full steps or FS. This refers to the number of visible steps on the Monticello building on the reverse of the coin. To qualify for the full steps designation, the steps must be fully struck with no interruptions, usually requiring 5 or 6 visible lines. A 1995 D nickel with full steps in mint state condition can fetch significantly more than its face value. Let's get into some numbers. A typical 1995 D nickel in circulated condition is worth 5 cents, as expected. Even in uncirculated condition without any special characteristics, it might be worth 25 cents to $1. However, A 1995D nickel-graded MS-66 with full steps can command anywhere from $50 to over $500 depending on the quality, the demand, and the eye appeal. Go a step further and you'll find that an MS-67 or higher with full steps is much more rare. These coins have sold for well over $1,000 at auction. And here's where the $1 million figure comes in. While it's extremely rare, some coin collectors and dealers have speculated that the perfect storm of condition, rarity, error, and collector interest could push the value of a 1995D Jefferson nickel into the 6 or even 7-figure range. Now this would only apply to a coin that has everything going for it. Think about a coin struck on the wrong planchet, with a major double die, perfectly centered, full steps, mint state 68 or higher, and certified by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC. If that coin ever came up for auction and the right bidders were present, it's not unthinkable that the hammer price could reach into the millions. There are already modern coins like Lincoln cents and state quarters that have sold for 6 figures. Combine that with the growing interest in modern mint errors and the booming collectibles market, and you have the perfect recipe for a coin like this to explode in value. So what should you look for if you think you have a 1995D nickel worth money? First, examine the steps on the Monticello building. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and count the horizontal lines. If the steps are fully visible and unbroken, you may have a full step specimen. Next, look for any visible doubling, especially on the date, the word Liberty, or Jefferson's eye. Check the coin's edges for any irregularities and weigh it if you can. Sometimes errors involve the wrong metal planchet, and that can make a huge difference. And finally, consider having the coin professionally graded and authenticated if you think it has real potential. Companies like PCGS, NGC, and Annex are trusted in the numismatic world, and their certification can dramatically increase the resale value of your coin. Before we wrap up, let's recap. The 1995D Jefferson nickel is a common coin with hundreds of millions minted. But rare varieties and mint errors, especially those with full steps and pristine condition, can make these nickels worth hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, even $1 million. Keep an eye on your pocket change, check those old coin jars, and take another look at the coins you might have overlooked. You never know what hidden treasure could be right in front of you. 1998P Jefferson nickel. This coin might look ordinary at first glance, but certain versions of it have fetched jaw-dropping prices at auction, and in private sales you definitely want to stick around because I am going to tell you everything you need to know about this coin, what to look for, how much it could be worth, and how you might just be sitting on a hidden treasure in your pocket change. Let's get right into it. First, let's talk about the basics. The 1998 Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why you will see a small P mint mark on the front or obverse side of the coin just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait. The reverse features his home Monticello, a classic image we've seen on the nickel for decades now. Here's the part that gets exciting. While millions of these coins were minted in 1998, not all of them are created equal. Most are only worth face value, but some rare varieties and minting errors can make the value skyrocket to hundreds, thousands, and in exceptional cases, even $1 million. That's right, you heard me correctly. Let's break it down. One of the main reasons a 1998P nickel might be worth big money is due to a mint error or unique condition. Coins with double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, or planchet errors are especially sought after by collectors. These rare features often occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. There are reports of 1998P nickels with dramatic doubling, especially on the word Monticello or the motto E pluribus unum on the reverse. If you spot clear doubling on those letters, you might be looking at a valuable double die error. Another feature to look for is a full step designation on the Monticello steps. If the steps are fully struck with no weak spots or smudges, collectors call this full steps or FS, and that adds major value. A high grade is also crucial. The Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, has graded several 1998P nickels at mint state 67 and higher. These coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction, and if you happen to have a coin with both a rare error and a high grade, you are talking about a coin that could reach 6 figures or more. But what about that $1 million claim? Is it real? Well, here is the truth. The $1 million mark has been reached before, but not necessarily for your everyday nickel. It happens when a coin is both ultra rare and in pristine condition. Add to that the demand of a serious collector or a bidding war, and suddenly the price shoots through the roof. There have been unique coins with major errors in superb condition that have hit that level, so while not every 1998p nickel will bring in that kind of money, the possibility is there, especially if the coin is a true anomaly. So how do you know if your 1998p nickel is valuable? First, examine it under a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look closely at the lettering, the steps on Monticello, and the mint mark. Compare it to known error examples, or send it off to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and professional evaluation. It may cost a little upfront, but if your coin turns out to be one of the rare ones, it could be the best investment you ever make. Also consider checking eBay's sold listings and coin auction sites to see real-time values. You will find that even some lightly circulated coins can go for more than face value if they have the right features. The 1998p Jefferson nickel may seem like just another 5-cent coin, but in the world of numismatics, some of these pieces are worth a fortune. Always check your pocket change, because the next $1 million coin could be right in your hand. If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want to learn more about valuable coins, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a hidden treasure. 2002 D Mint Mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like just another coin you might find in your pocket change. But some rare versions of this coin have shocked collectors with prices that reach into the thousands, and yes, there are even exaggerated claims of versions worth up to $1 million. So what's the real story behind this coin? What makes some of them so valuable? And could you be holding on to one without even knowing it? Let's break it all down. First things first, let's talk basics. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938. It features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse or front side and his home Monticello on the reverse or back side. The D Mint mark tells us it was minted in Denver. In 2002, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these nickels, but only a few stand out to collectors. So why would a 2002 D nickel be worth more than 5 cents? It comes down to rarity, condition, and most importantly, errors. Let's start with condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect mint state coin. A 2002 D Jefferson nickel in mint state 65 or above can fetch a nice premium from collectors, especially if it's in a certified holder from grading services like PCGS or NGC. In high mint state, these nickels might sell for $10 to $50 depending on the quality. Now let's talk about what really drives up the value. Mint errors. This is where things get exciting. Some 2002 D Jefferson nickels have been found with dramatic die clashes, double dies, off-center strikes, and other striking errors. These are mistakes that occurred during the minting process, and they make the coin stand out because they are so rare. A double die, for example, can occur when the coin design is imprinted twice slightly offset, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or design. If you happen to find a 2002 D nickel with a visible double die on the Monticello lettering or Jefferson's profile, that coin could be worth hundreds of dollars, maybe more, depending on the severity and clarity of the error. Other errors include off-center strikes where the design is shifted significantly, and you can see blank space on the coin, or die cracks which look like raised lines running across the coin surface. These errors are usually visible without a microscope, and if they're dramatic enough, they can fetch several $100s or more. Now about those $1 million claims. You may have seen listings online or videos suggesting that a 2002 D Jefferson nickel sold for over $1 million. Here's the truth. No verified public auction has sold a 2002 D nickel for that amount. However, exaggerated or clickbait titles often stem from unique coins with one-of-a-kind errors that spark bidding wars or private sales. It's extremely rare but not impossible that a dramatic error in perfect condition could command 6 figures or more from the right buyer. But $1 million is very unlikely unless the coin has some historic backstory or discovery attached to it. That being said, the hype has led many people to dig through their pocket change, and you should too. It costs nothing to look, and you never know what you might find. The best way to start is to grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and examine the details. Look closely at the lettering, especially the word Monticello and United States of America. Check the edges of the coin and examine Jefferson's eye and hairline. These are common places where doubling or striking anomalies appear. If you think you've found an error, the next step is to take clear close-up photos and get a second opinion from a coin grading or appraisal service. Sometimes what looks like an error is just damage from circulation, so professional evaluation is key. Another factor in value is full steps. This refers to the steps on the Monticello building on the back of the coin. If all 5 or 6 steps are fully visible and uninterrupted, the coin is said to have full steps, which makes it more valuable. Collectors go crazy for full step nickels because they are harder to find. A 2002 Jefferson nickel with full steps in mint state 67 could easily sell for over $100, and some have reached prices near $500 depending on demand. So what should you take away from all this? If you have a 2002 Monticello nickel, check it carefully. If it's in excellent condition, has visible mint errors or full steps, it might be worth far more than 5 cents. Even without errors, coins in high grades are worth holding onto or getting certified. The Jefferson nickel series is one of the most underrated coin collections in modern U.S. history. The 2002 in particular has gained attention because of its potential for rare errors and its availability in recent circulation. With millions of these coins out there, there is still a chance one could turn up with a never-before-seen error that captures the attention of collectors and investors alike. So take a moment, check your change, dig through your coin jars, and see if you have a hidden treasure. And remember, not every coin is going to be worth a fortune, but the thrill of the hunt and the chance of finding something rare is what keeps this hobby so exciting. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more coin videos, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. And let me know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable coin in your pocket change.